Let's talk about work-life balance, how to stop overworking, avoid burnout, and reclaim your time. Presents a vivid and grounded exploration of modern work culture, its psychological toll, and how individuals can resist its pressures to create a more fulfilling, balanced life. It uses stories, research, and personal insights to show how we become addicted to busyness and productivity, and what we can do to stop sacrificing our well-being at the altar of overachievement. The book opens with a frank conversation about how the notion of work has become deeply tied to identity. People are no longer just employees, they are expected to derive purpose, value, and social capital from their jobs. This intertwining of self-worth with professional achievement sets the stage for chronic overwork. The author paints a poignant picture of how people feel trapped in always-on expectations, using examples from corporate life, freelancing, and even creative careers. What's especially striking is how the book doesn't dismiss ambition or career growth. Instead, it invites readers to redefine success. Through deeply human stories, it explores how people hit walls, health scares, emotional meltdowns, or moments of complete disconnection, and only then realized how far out of balance they had drifted. These moments become inflection points, not endings, and from them emerge powerful realizations about boundaries, intentionality, and personal values. The author challenges the hustle culture and grind-set mentality, exposing how these ideologies glorify burnout. By dissecting productivity myths and the illusion of work as a moral duty, the book argues that rest is not laziness, but a necessity. It tells the story of a woman who built her whole identity around being the go-to person at work, only to face panic attacks when she finally unplugged. Her journey toward understanding that saying no is an act of self-respect illustrates a key transformation many face. In discussing burnout, the book dives into its psychological underpinnings: chronic stress, lack of autonomy, absence of meaning. One chapter details the neuroscience of burnout, showing how prolonged cortisol spikes alter the brain's ability to concentrate, regulate emotion, and find motivation. But instead of just diagnosing, the narrative always brings readers back to practical recovery: sleep, space, community, boundaries. The theme of time reclaims a central role. The author describes how time has been commodified, sliced into meetings, to-do lists, screen time, and asks readers to question whose time they're living on. Through a story of a man who left his high-paying job after realizing he hadn't seen a sunset in months, we're asked to reflect: what moments are we missing while we're buried in work? Throughout the book, there's a persistent focus on values. What do we care about when no one's watching? The answer, the author suggests, should guide how we design our days. In one chapter, a couple redefine success not by income or prestige but by the ability to eat dinner together each night. This intimate picture of value-driven life challenges the reader to examine what they're prioritizing, and at what cost. Another key point is the systemic nature of overwork. The book doesn't just place the burden on individuals to fix their own lives. It points to cultural, corporate, and economic structures that reward overcommitment and penalize stillness. A corporate employee who tried to set clear boundaries was passed up for promotion, until her burnout forced the company to rethink how they supported talent. Her story highlights how real change often starts with discomfort, but can ripple outward. Technology plays a dual role in the story. On one hand, it's the villain. Notifications, remote work creep, and the collapse of boundaries. On the other, it's a potential ally, if used wisely. The book offers anecdotes of people who reclaimed their digital lives through slow disconnection, calendar blocking for rest, and reducing digital noise. These aren't one-size-fits-all fixes, but they are honest experiments in living differently. The storytelling brings in diverse voices: parents, single people, entrepreneurs, introverts, neurodivergent workers, each with their unique relationship to work and rest. A stay-at-home dad's experience managing invisible labor is told with the same depth and respect as a tech CEO's decision to downscale. This breadth underscores that balance is personal, contextual, and nonlinear. A major takeaway is the power of intentional rituals. Morning walks, weekend Sabbaths, daily journaling, these aren't portrayed as productivity hacks but as anchors. One woman's story of lighting a candle each evening to mark the end of her workday becomes a metaphor for reclaiming symbolic separation between roles. These small acts become tools of agency and resistance. The book doesn't shy away from the fear of letting go. What happens when you're no longer the busiest person in the room? When you stop performing urgency? The fear of becoming irrelevant is real, and the book addresses it head-on through a man who left a prestigious role and battled a deep sense of worthlessness before rediscovering joy in mentoring and creative hobbies. Midway through, the tone softens, embracing compassion. The author reassures that change doesn't have to be dramatic. It can begin with a single breath, a single no, a single cancelled meeting. There's a tender honesty in these chapters that makes the reader feel accompanied, not lectured. The stories shift from burnout horror to resilience and quiet rebuilding. A recurring motif is community. Work-life balance isn't a solo mission. It's upheld by relationships that honor each other's time and needs. One chapter tells of a neighborhood that collectively committed to screen-free Sundays, creating a ripple of connection and mutual accountability. This communal frame challenges the hyper-individualistic approach to balance. Finally, the book ends not with a prescription, but a conversation. The author leaves space for the reader to reflect, ask their own questions, and begin their own recalibration. The last story is of a woman who took a sabbatical not to fix herself but to listen. To nature, to silence, to her own inner rhythm. And in doing so, she discovered not an escape from work, but a new, gentler way of being in it.